There are people on both sides of this issue, as is the case with most things this time of year, but Amendment 6, people on both sides are particularly passionate.
I don't care who you don't want in office, but you better go out and protect your right to vote.
Some Missourians believe that right to vote could be put in jeopardy by Amendment 6. That's a state referendum on the November ballot, which would require a voter ID at all elections. An opponent of the amendment, Patricia Jones, says that would make everything else in an election pointless.
If voter ID is suppressed in any way, if our votes are suppressed, then the other things make no difference. Because if you're not able to vote, we're not able to change the legislator.
Voter fraud is the most common argument for the voter ID requirement. However, since 2005, more than 11 million votes were cast in general elections alone, and only 17 people were convicted of voter fraud. That's less than 0.02%. Supporters of Amendment 6 point out that you need an ID to apply for things like Social Security. So the idea that older folks won't have the proper identification to get a voter ID is overblown. And State Representative Chuck Basie said that especially in small voting districts, even one case of voter fraud could change an election.
2010, in a Democrat primary, where an individual that is a sitting member of our body was elected by one vote, and it turned out that his aunt and uncle voted fraudulently in that election. They were both convicted.
Voters on the referendum this year won't have to show a voter ID, but if enough people vote yes at the polls on Amendment 6, they will have to the next time they take a trip to the voting booth. It's hard to believe, but this will be settled 2 weeks from today. The voters will decide on whether or not the voters will need those IDs in future elections.